Hey gals, welcome to Binge Free Bestie, the podcast where we ditch the diets, break free from binge eating, and build a safe and empowered relationship with our bodies. I'm your host, Nick Carberia, a registered therapist who totally gets it. Binge eating and body image struggles? Yep, I've been there, done that, and I've got the therapy bills to prove it. But here's the good news, bestie. I've recovered and I'm here to help you to do the same. This potty is all about real, evidence-based strategies from my therapy practice, plus down-to-earth, relatable girl talk with me and some of my amazing besties and other experts who have their own stories, tips, and tricks to share with you. So, whether you're tired of the diet cycle, ready to ditch the shame spiral, or just want to feel more confident in your own skin, then you've come to the right place. It's time to get real about food freedom, body acceptance, self-care, and building a life you truly love. Let's get into it, besties. Hey bestie, welcome back to the New Year Food Freedom Reset. This is day 4 and today this episode is all about food rules, where they came from and why they keep you stuck. So, talking about food rules. And we're not talking about food rules because you're doing food wrong. No, we're talking about this because food rules so often quietly run the show for many of us who struggle with food. Even if you're not dieting anymore. Food rules are quite sneaky. You know, diet culture is sneaky. If you've been listening to this podcast so far, it can be really subtle and it can be disguised as wellness culture. That is diet culture has figured out, right, that it's not fashionable or it's not cool to be so blatant in their messaging and marketing nowadays. They're not going to be as kind of hardcore as they were back in the 80s, 90s and noughties. So they've learned to be a bit more subtle in the messaging and the way that they condition us. And some of the food rules that we might carry around now that aren't quite so obvious are things like, well, I can't eat that until later because I've already had quite a big lunch, and even though I'm hungry, I need to wait until 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. before I can eat again. Or maybe it's, I need to earn this, i.e. Once I've gone for a walk, then I can have that treat. It's conditional. Maybe it's, I'll be good now, which will make up for having had that slice of cake this morning. I'll be good for the rest of the day or for the rest of the week. Or it could sound like, I can't trust myself around certain foods. Or I just can't have that piece of cake because once I have one piece of cake, I'm going to eat the whole damn thing. So I just don't let myself go near certain foods at all. And those are pretty obvious ones, but so often they don't feel like rules. They just feel like things like common sense. So here's the thing though. Food rules, they don't create any safety for you. But I know that that's what you want from them. Instead, what they're creating is some hypervigilance. And hypervigilance is just absolutely exhausting. So where do these come from as well? We need to understand food rules are usually learned in environments where things like control is rewarded. And just trusting in your own body is actually kind of discouraged. So for many people, it is starting with diet culture. Diet culture has taught us that thinness equals health, right? And thinness equals worth, and thinness equals success and being loved and being liked and accepted. And you know what? It kind of is in many ways. Society does treat us different when we're in a smaller body, and I will never deny that. Diet culture also teaches us that the way to achieve that thinness, that health, that worth, that success is by controlling our bodies. And the way we do that is controlling our food. Food then gets labeled as things like good or bad. Hunger is something to ignore or to be fed. And eating is something that we must earn. And over time, those kind of messages become internalized rules. Even though maybe you're not consciously on a diet right now, you're not doing keto, you're not following someone else's plan, But there's still this underlying thing where food it becomes a test of morality or discipline. Like you're good or you're bad depending on how well you've eaten that day, or you're doing good or bad at life dependent on how well you can control yourself around food. Food rules can also come from our family beliefs or our culture. And many of us grow up with spoken or even unspoken messages like you must finish everything on your plate, don't waste food, we don't eat that in this house, or be good now and I'll give you a treat later. Sometimes these beliefs were also shaped by things like scarcity, poverty, stress, concern. But they still taught the nervous system that eating is conditional. And I mean, there's things like health messaging as well. And as I said before, diet culture has kind of learned how to survive in this more modern age. And things like wellness trends or fitness culture is still diet culture, is just in disguise a little bit more. And these things can really easily morph into quite rigid rules, especially when they're delivered without any nuance or context, or they're delivered by someone who is not actually qualified to speak on such matters. I mean, we've all seen so many wellness and fitness gurus out there. And if you are a person who is already prone to wanting to have control, or you have high expectations of yourself, or you're a perfectionist, these little pieces of advice can really morph into rules, food rules, and a pressure to conform. So what I'm trying to say is that at some point your nervous system has learned that if you control food, then you'll be safer, more acceptable, more in control, you'll have your shit together. And obviously that belief has made sense to you for some time. And it does make a lot of sense at the time, right? Because it does serve you. It does make you feel in that moment like you are in control when you're following the plan and you're doing a good job. But those rules keep you in that state of hypervigilance because you have to constantly monitor yourself, restrict, second guess yourself to make sure that you're staying on track. And when your nervous system is in that constant state of vigilance, eventually it's going to push back. And it's not because you're not been doing a good job at that plan or that you're a failure. It's just that your body is trying to survive. So what I'm going to share with you today is a bit of a practice called noticing your food rules. It's simple and it's intentionally gentle. I actually don't want you to start necessarily trying to challenge any of these rules just yet. I just want you to identify them. Let's just call them out. Let's notice them. In the breakup, we identify our food rules, whether they come from the root of these stories and narratives, and then we start to challenge them and reframe them. But we're not going to do that yet because I just want to take a look at what we're dealing with here. So over the day today, I want you to pay attention to moments when you might be hesitating before eating, when you might be labeling foods as good or bad, naughty, nice, junk, clean, when you might be delaying eating to feel in control, and when you might be kind of mentally negotiating with yourself. These will be food rules. And when you notice a rule, I want you to just hit pause and ask yourself, where did this come from? If you want to. Just noticing is actually enough. But if you want to go deeper, you can ask, where did this come from? What is this rule trying to protect me from? And how do I feel in my body when I follow it? Just jot these down in your journal, or you can just reflect on them quietly. We're just bringing them into our awareness. We don't need to know yet just what to do with them, but we do need to see them there. And we need to hear that diet voice and acknowledge it and say, yep, this is here. This is a part of me right now. It's something that I want to work on. And the very first step in that is hearing it and calling it out. So in today's resource bundle, you're going to find a bit more of an explanation around food rules and where they come from. And you've got some journaling prompts to help you to start identifying your own ones. So link to get that resource bundle is in the show notes. And if you're on my email list, you'll be getting a daily email that's letting you know what we're talking about each day, and it's got a link to download the bundle. So remember, food rules aren't a personal failure. The fact that you've got them, we've all got them. They're just learned strategies, and that means we can unlearn them. So today is all about that curiosity. Go forth into your day. Be curious about what food rules are sitting there. And tomorrow we're going to talk about emotional eating. So why we emotionally eat, how to respond to emotions without turning food into the problem. I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.